You know what the problem is? No, hold on, actually. So I wanted to do this really cool intro where I was going to play like one of the scenes from the campaign that I'm talking about. It was gonna be this really cool like dramatic edit where I was going to do this whole thing. I was gonna show the moment. I was gonna have them talk, but then I realized that by starting the video with that's a spoiler. I haven't put a spoiler warning yet. So by doing that, I'm inherently spoiling the moment, and we can't have that, right? Because there's gotta be a spoiler in every single video. There's gotta be a spoiler warning. So instead, I'm gonna have to come up with some stupid intro where I lead into a spoiler warning, and there's gonna be that stupid dancing squirrel again. I'm thinking of deleting the channel. I don't think I can do this anymore. God damn it.
Yeah, I say before you go, I think perhaps you were one of the most powerful mages that I've ever had the pleasure to be in the presence of. And for this, I would offer a gift, which I think it has been a long time since anyone has pointed out to you that you are a fool. Pain doesn't make people. It's love that makes people. The pain is inconsequential. It's love that saves them. And you would know that, but you have none around you. You said so yourself. You surround yourself with lies and deceptions, and I wish for you in the future to find someone who will mourn you when you are gone. Respectfully.
Let's address the... Let's try that again. Let's address one thing out of the gate. My hair is longer, I'm wearing different clothes, there's a foot in my lap. I don't even know if that's actually in the framing. That intro was recorded a long time ago, actually, like a pretty decent amount of time, but the video was totally uneditable. There was some weird interference with the audio, and we couldn't edit it. So we're re-recording the video, and my wife is not feeling well and refused to get off the couch. So we're doing it anyway.
I have fish to show you guys.
No fish, no fish. We don't got time. We delayed recording. We gotta get...
Show them the fish.
I don't even know if it could see... Fish?
Look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me laugh.
Fish.
Fish.
So we're gonna get into the video here. This is already a disaster, but you know what? I'm gonna be honest, my videos being a disaster and being totally unplanned has actually increased engagement on the channel, so you guys can blame yourself because clearly you're enjoying my more candidness.
Is that what he calls it?
So we're gonna do this live. My wife will talk from over there. I have no one behind the camera, so hopefully I'm well in frame. If I'm not,
Sorry, y'all.
blame somebody else. I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. So as the intro told you, we're actually gonna talk about one-liners today. And I do honestly believe that one-liners are an incredible moment in any TTRPG campaign in general. I think they're incredibly important, one, for marketability's sake, because by using those one-liners, you can put them in shorts, TikToks, etc., and they get live plays really moving. But also, one-liners are really what keep us thinking about TTRPGs. Those moments of incredible memorability are massively important to making us want to come back and play the game. Some of the most iconic moments in TTRPG history come down to a single line. These lines are quoted, memed, and cherished long after the session ends, and there is a reason for that. It's because a lot of the time, the one-liners boil everything that's happening down to one moment, one sentence that really encapsulates everything that we're trying to say. A powerful one-liner can evoke a strong emotion, and whether it's triumph, sorrow, or fear, they make the story and characters come alive in the minds of the players and the audience. And I really think that they're important. Many times we could feel like one-liners are try-harding. And yeah, I can kind of understand where you're coming from with that. Trying too hard to be dramatic or important. But truthfully, a one-liner is just the emphasis underneath an entire arc of a campaign. And the example I used at the top of the video, of course, was Taliesin Jaffe's iconic line, "I wish for somebody to mourn you when you're gone." And that's a great line, and it really well encapsulated everything that the Mighty Nine was going through up until that point. But we're gonna talk about a few different one-liners in this episode, which the spoiler warning should have warned you about, because yes, that was a legitimate spoiler warning. And then we're going to talk about why one-liners are important, how they can help you, and how to make sure that you nail them in your own sessions, because I don't believe this is just a live play thing. I think it is something that is incredible for any campaign, should the moment arise, and as long as you make sure that it is done at the right moment as it's arising. Beyond just being cool or impactful, these one-liners often encapsulate a larger story or character arc, as I was saying earlier. They can serve as a defining moment that crystallizes what a campaign and character is all about. Basically, it's the moment that makes everybody feel like they've come together. Like, yes, this is exactly what's happening, such as what Taliesin said in that moment. See, Caduceus Clay was an interesting character because he was basically just there to help everybody else realize their massive flaws, to help everybody realize what they were going through. He was there as like a foil almost, to be a mirror that shows everybody, hey, you're all pretty emotionally unhealthy, and there's a lot of work that you could be doing to trust each other more and to become more healthy and whole people. And I think that was incredible, but it was this line that really nailed down that that's what that character was. Because in this moment, and I don't want to get too much into spoilers, but let's just say they have come face to face with a very important enemy within the campaign, and one that has very powerfully manipulated one of the other characters, Caleb, up until this point. And through this entire area, this entire campaign, this entire arc of Caleb being manipulated, downtrodden, and beaten, and all of the other characters being manipulated by somebody in their life, suddenly there's a character who stands up and just points out the hypocrisy of the enemy, the hypocrisy of somebody who has spent the entire session attempting to make one of the other characters dive into his weaknesses and darker urges in order to turn to the dark side.
What if the thing to do now is to supplant you, to pull you up like a weed and do better? You comfortable with that idea?
Nothing would make me prouder.
It's like, no, yeah. He means it, doesn't he? Fuck, I know he means it.
I'm not even asking.
And he just looks at them and says something so simple, I hope that somebody mourns you when you're gone. It so clearly undercuts everything that villain has been saying up until this point. It so clearly makes so certain that the rest of the party knows it doesn't matter how manipulative this character is. It doesn't matter how much he's gotten under their skin. He's wrong. Because when he's gone, no one will miss him. No one will mourn him. His life will ultimately sum up to nobody caring that he disappeared. That is the power of a one-liner. And I think that is so incredible. But one-liners are not just simply a punchy statement, as you might think. There's a lot more to them. Let's take a look at another example. The other example I wanted to talk about today, the very famous Zakoyama line, "Where is your bulb now?"
You have never seen Karen be anything other than calm. He looks at you, and you see he goes, "Oh, Paul, stay! God!" And starts to like slam against the chains, just like a fucking brute. Like
I whispered to him, "Where is your bulb now?"
Now this is from A Crown of Candy, one of Dimension 20's campaigns, and honestly one of my absolute favorites. It's basically like, what is that? This is embarrassing. I'm such a bad nerd. What is the show with the dragons and the throne? Game of Thrones? I need a confirmation. Yes, no. I feel like you're lying to me. It's Game of Thrones, right?
No.
What is it?
The one with the dragon?
Yeah, okay, look, the one with the dragon. We could say it's Aragon, we could say it's Lord of the Rings, we could say it's a lot of different things, but the one I'm thinking of is Game of Thrones, correct? I'm convinced that I got this right. It is Game of Thrones.
You've never even watched it. Name the character.
Daenerys Longbottom. Jason Momoa?
That's not his character's name!
I've never seen Game of Thrones, guys. A dungeon master with a YouTube channel who's never seen Game of Thrones. Let's get back on
You
track.
know the one thing that fucking and dungeons have in common?
Dragons?
These balls across your face.
No. Anyways, A Crowd of Candy is a mix between Game of Thrones and Candyland. That's what I was trying to say there before I totally removed any of my nerd cred or any of that bullcrap. Anyways, that's what the campaign is about. And in this campaign, there's an incredible moment where Zach Oyama goes out of his way to trick one of the NPCs and cause one of the rawest lines ever, which I will just let play out for as long as copyright will let me.
All my fellas. All my fellas.
That statement of where is your bulb now was a great underlying factor in what was going on at the moment, while also just being a generally cool line. In Dimension 20's campaign, Zach Oyama delivers this line with a mix of triumph and defiance. The context here is crucial because it's not just a cool line, it's a pivotal moment in the campaign. The line brilliantly captures the tension, the stakes, and the character's personal journey all in one bit, and that's why it's an incredible line. Because see, it shows that Zach's character, Le Pen, has abandoned the church which he has pretended to be with up until this point, and he is truly embracing who he is. He has decided to reject the facade of what he's created and instead be who he is. It also shows his capabilities. It shows his shrewdness, his cunningness, and it remains a moment of triumph right before a moment of tragedy, which I will say nothing more about. If you want to hear more about that moment, you can click wherever the card appears. Let's see, it's probably right there.
Correct!
If I'm wrong, we'll put clown makeup on. Anyways, you can click over there to see the video. It's probably actually disappeared at this point, but if you want to see more on that moment. The point is it's an incredible moment that underlines things in the same way that Taliesin Jaffe's line did. It is so perfect and poignant, and it creates this air of mystery, a moment of memorability, and it underlines the campaign. So I've gone on enough about why this is such an incredible moment, why these moments are important. So let's get into the meat of it and probably why most people click this video, how to do a one-liner properly, because I promise you it is not easy. The reason it's not easy is you want it to resonate with your party and the rest of the people at the table. You want it to resonate with the campaign, and you want it to have the context necessary to feel like it's not just you trying to be cool, but is genuinely a moment to underline what's happening in the campaign. So how do you do that? Well, the first thing is, of course, timing. Having it at the right time is one of the single most important things that you need to do. The most impactful one-liners often come at pivotal moments in the story. Whether it's a climactic battle or an emotional revelation, the timing is genuinely key. When Caduceus said his line, it was at a moment where a lot of the characters were beginning to feel down, especially Caleb. And when Le Pen said his, it was at a moment where the tides were about to turn, where the campaign was truly going to kick off, and all of the conflict was going to come to a head at a single moment's notice. It needs to happen when you feel like it should, not when you feel like you can squeeze it in, because it needs to feel natural. But that's the problem. One-liners aren't natural, are they? No. In fact, most of the time they come up in moments where you have been practicing for them, which is the second part of what I would suggest. Practice, practice, practice. Yes, you want the moment to feel natural. But let's be honest, trying to deliver a really cool line without practicing it first is difficult. Now, how do you practice a line when you don't know what's going to come up? The truth is it's not actually that difficult. Understanding the themes that are happening in the campaign, creating a moment where you feel like you can truly say a line is not difficult. You just have to be paying attention and paying attention to the future, where things might be. But you also have to be willing to admit that the line may not end up happening. You may not be able to say it because no moment shows up, and that's okay. Sometimes, just like the Dungeon Master has to, you have to look at your creations and understand that not everybody gets to see it. Sometimes you gotta walk past it. But practicing the line is great. I have at times practiced lines that I feel are going to be raw and genuine and really encapsulate the story in the shower, which is a little embarrassing, but it's actually genuinely the fact. But yeah, I think that practicing these things ahead of time is great. In fact, there was a line in one of the campaigns that I am in, a live play of Monster of the Week, not D&D 5e, but I still love Monster of the Week more than D&D 5e. So anyways, there was a line in that where I had been practicing it for some point, and I'll just kind of let that clip play out right now.
And I'm here. God, fuck it. I've always been here. I ain't been obligated to shit. They promised to take care of you, and look what they did. Your mom gotta be the most flexible person in the world, because I ain't ever seen anybody who could have their head up their ass, their foot in their mouth, and their nose in somebody else's business at the goddamn same time. But fuck, she does it.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Tiff, I am a bad dad.
That was something that didn't come up off the top of my head, but it was something that my character had been thinking about. It was something that the rest of the characters had been thinking about, and therefore it was easy, and I just had to wait for a time where it felt natural to say it. And that is where a lot of one-liners came from, or come from. Now, am I saying that Taliesin and Zach practiced this beforehand? No, probably not. But I guarantee you they had been thinking about similar moments in their heads. Zach's moment of betraying the church was probably something he'd been waiting for. And Taliesin being able to say something like that to an enemy, I guarantee you Taliesin was hoping for a moment where Caduceus could say that. It doesn't have to be exact, you just have to know what your character's thinking and have it ready. And honestly, you could probably just sit there and let the villain monologue while you silently think the line over and over as you come up with it right then, and that works pretty well too. But that's timing, and that's practice, but obviously that's not everything. There's going to have to be more, and that's where it comes down to context, as I've mentioned earlier. A great one-liner isn't just a cool phrase, it resonates because it fits seamlessly into the larger story. I've said that multiple times now, and it is genuinely true. Because by being certain that you have the line set in the context of the moment, that it actually applies to everything, that's what makes it memorable. Because all the rest of the people at the table can also relate to the line, and that's what you're going for. You want everybody else at the table to feel that line. That's what makes it memorable, because they all together feel like it is an incredible thing that ties everything that's happening. TTRPGs are a collaborative experience. Therefore, the most important memories at your table will be collaborative. That's what you're looking for. Everything that you do, the most important moments that happen, will always be the ones that include everybody at the table in one way or another. Even if it is just you doing something, even if it is just you saying something, as long as it is something that is important to everybody else, that's what makes it a memory worth having. Every important moment that I have mentioned on my channel, every important moment that I've deep dived, has always been something that includes everybody else. The game isn't about you. But if you make your character about everybody else, they will care about your character. Same so for very cool one-liners. And that's honestly something I think that is really, really cool. So today we've explored the impact of one-liners in TTRPGs and dissected some iconic examples, and discussed how you can create your own. But remember, a well-crafted one-liner isn't just a catchphrase, it's a storytelling tool. It has the power to elevate your games, leave a lasting impact on both characters, players, and audiences alike. So I'd love to hear your own memorable lines. I'm sure everybody has one from their campaigns that they remember, so please feel free to comment it down below. And, you know, while you're down there, tell us about your most favorite moments in general. And like, comment, subscribe, because I'm supposed to say that stuff. The important thing to do on YouTube, and my wife tells me to do it and put it in my scripts.
Support the Monster of the Week.
You also go support the Monster of the Week campaign, please. It'll be in the description, probably also the pinned comment. So that would be great, because I love playing in that campaign. We also have a Patreon. You can support the Patreon. It helps pay the players. It goes directly to them so that we can all afford to take times from our jobs to play more Monster of the Week for you guys. So yeah, hit me with your best one-liner.
What happens to an illegally parked frog? It gets
Toad, you come into my house and you try to tell me a frog joke.
At least I made it. You just keep your jokes to yourself and think you're so funny.
I'm hilarious.
Cut the video.
Well, you gotta let me get up to that.